Hey, third graders. All right. Our next step here for those that want to paint, you've got your primed shoe in front of you. If you're someone who you're like, hey, I got my shoe, but it wasn't primed, what that means is you missed the art day where we were priming. So if you want to and you have the okay from your family, you can go ahead and paint your shoe white first and then hop back in on this video at this point, okay? Totally up to you and works best for you and your household. Now, I did gather a few things together here, like cotton balls, Q-tips, different size paintbrushes that we had around the house. I got together some fingernail polish that I have the okay to use, right? And then at our house, we have tempera. Tempera is a water-based paint, and so I want to use these paints versus an acrylic. Now, if you have permission at home to use an acrylic paint, that's okay, but this is a more permanent style paint. So you're going to want to have old clothes on, a newspaper or old paper underneath of your shoe. In fact, you want to have whatever surface you're painting on, you want to have something underneath of it no matter what, okay, boys and girls? So in the art room, we traditionally use either acrylic or a tempera colored paint, and this is just a little bit of a thinner paint, so you might need to just put more layers on with it. Both are great. It's just this one is much more permanent. So parents, that choice is up to you, okay? I suggest for my K3 students the tempera, okay? All right. I also went ahead and I went on a little scavenger hunt around our house. And I found some old stickers that weren't super sticky anymore. So when I'm done painting and it's dried, these might be something that I add on to my shoe. I also thought of the idea of some old ribbon that we had around. Think about collaging. Think about how you can take different materials and give them new life. Let's say you have some leftover Starburst wrappers and you love Starburst. Do you think it could be kind of cool to do a Starburst wrapper collage on the heel of your shoe? Like I said, the sky's the limit when it comes to your creativity, boys and girls. You can't do this wrong. I just ask that you work hard and you work on having great craftsmanship, okay? All right, I'm going to dig in right now with the painting. I've got an old shirt on, so I'm okay there. I've got my surface covered. I'm ready to paint. I'm going to start with my lightest color first, which is my yellow in this case. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on a nice thin coat. You don't need super thick coats. In fact, as you're putting your color on, you know you can go back after it's dried and add more to it. If you know you want a basketball on the tip of your shoe, you might take and leave that surface there so you can go in with the orange and fill it in. Now, I actually don't have any orange, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. Red's going to be my next color after this. And when you only have a few colors, and let's say they're the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, what are you going to do if you want orange? If you said to mix red and yellow, you are correct. I can make my own orange, right? So I'm going to go ahead, and you can either mix it off to the side or you can mix it right on your shoe. But I've got my yellow in the spots where I want it here. Kind of moving around my shoe. I've got a little bit of a game plan where I want those colors to be. See, I'm moving the shoe around. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put a glob of yellow right there. You know how we always say start with our lightest colors first? I can either grab a new brush or I can go ahead. I'm going to mix that red and that yellow. And if you're like, you know what? It's still looking awfully red. What do you think I need to add more of? If you said yellow, you are right. Paper plates are really handy as well for mixing your color on. And you know in the art room we use old containers as well. So I'm going to go ahead. When this is all dry, I'm going to add the details to my basketball in a permanent marker. Or I can use a thin paintbrush and black paint. Your choice, boys and girls. Parents, thank you for letting your child dip into their creativity and painting. Painting is a favorite in the art room. I know it can be messy, but it makes the soul happy, doesn't it, boys and girls? Okay. Now I'm going to take that great orange that I have left over of, and I'm going to go ahead and move that around to different locations that I wanted on my shoe. Then I can go ahead with the paper towel or on the sheet of paper, newspaper, whatever you've got, but you can start to clean off that paintbrush a little bit. I want to go on to my red next. Kind of reminds me of candy corn from Halloween time. If the hairs on your brush are starting to get messy, it means it's time to dip again, okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to set down my brush because, like I said, I have this creative idea of using some paint, some fingernail polish. And like I said, I got the okay first, right? And I can go ahead, and we know this, the hairs on our, it's going to take longer to cover our surface because it's much smaller, but you're going to be able to have great control. Now, if you plan to paint your fingernails or toenails again with these, you're not going to want to mix. In fact, I'm going to have you pause the video, let your paint dry, and then come back with this, okay? But if you're like, nope, this was old and kind of gunky, it's A-okay. I got the okay. You can go ahead and start dabbing in and adding your paint. If you have puff paint at home, that can be something on your next layer, if you will. That's another fun one. Glitter is fun if you've got glitter at home. Like I said, dig to the back of those craft drawers, closets. Junk drawers are an awesome place. Boys and girls, you know how to create positive and negative space by using tape. You can put tape on spaces that you want to stay certain colors. So many fun ideas. Now again, I want to remind you, you must have the okay. I do not want anybody's big sister to come home from work and find her favorite red fingernail polish on your shoe. I don't want this project to get anybody grounded, okay, boys and girls? You can giggle with me about that, but you know how it goes. So I'm just filling in those spaces that were still white. Okay. What's going to happen now is we're going to leave that shoe to dry before we add our next layer, okay? So the next part will be coming. Happy painting, boys and girls. Okay, you are back and your shoe is dried and you are ready to start attaching other pieces. Now, if you're like, I've decided to not attach anything else, that's perfectly fine. You can go and add detail to your shoe with permanent marker. If you wanted to draw lines in between or write your name on it or an artist's name, your choice, people. Okay, it's your shoe. I changed my mind. My basketball that I was going for up here, I'm playing with the idea of turning it into an animal of some type. See, I found a wrapper, candy wrapper there. Now, you can just use your regular school glue, Glue-All, and know that you're going to need to put a dot of glue or a line is just fine, either one, and let it sit, okay? Like, you know how we talked about counting 10 Mississippi or 20 Mississippi in the classroom? You're going to need to be patient with it, okay? If you plan to do puck paint, now is the time that you can do that. I talked about how I had some stickers that weren't really sticky anymore, so I'm going to probably add a little glue to those and put them down, and you can kind of just decide what works for you and how you want to collage. Go ahead and say collage with me. Collage those shoes, okay? If you want to turn the whole work of art into a flower or a portrait, totally up to you. If you want to just add pieces to it, like I said, the sky is the limit, boys and girls. So you have fun adding your pieces to your shoes. I'm trying out a few things that I've seen students do past years, where they like to add some ribbon. If your shoe isn't too thick, you can most definitely use staples to attach as well. Maybe I'm going to move that puppy to this side. Okay. I'm going to let that dry a little more. There's a dab of wet paint there. I'm not quite sure. This might be a make-believe animal. You can see how on this shoe, after I went and added cool pictures like I did the Starry Night from Vincent van Gogh, wrote Harlem Renaissance, divided my colors up with lines, wrote Picasso on this side. Totally up to you, boys and girls. All right, thank you so much for joining me for this week's lesson, boys and girls. Whether you chose to paint or you chose to use markers, you have created a recycled shoe masterpiece.